Okay. If I knew how to close her eyes, I would have done that so we can show her face, but they don't close their eyes. All the cats I buried have their eyes open. Maybe, okay, maybe this is morbid. But I do want some record of her face. People will forgive me, I hope. God damn it, I'm stupid. I just need to not hold the bottom of the phone, period. Jesus Christ. Ugh. What's your earliest memory of her?
Calling my boss and telling him that I was going to be late to work because a kitten magically appeared in my backyard.
My earliest memory, I think the bunk bed was still in the room.
Yeah.
I remember the day that Dad got me up and said, "Oh, hey, we have a new visitor." And I was like, "Oh, what?" And it was a new kitten that, the story that Dad said about somebody like throwing her in our front yard and then she walked up to our door. Do you buy that? Or do you think she just randomly showed up?
She had a flea collar on. She had a previous owner.
Wow. So they just randomly dropped her off.
I went to all the nearby houses and asked. No one claimed her.
So somebody just randomly dropped her.
Yep.
At what ended up being our house.
Yep. We got to experience her love. Someone else made a mistake.
There's that much at least, yeah. So, I don't know what would be appropriate for,
It would be appropriate for us to bury her before the flies start coming.
I noticed rigor mortis starting in her legs and arms, and that's very upsetting. How quick that is.
Yes, the flies will be coming very soon, and they'll start eating her eyeballs and tongue. We gotta bury her. You ready?
I remember another early memory where she just walked into my room like we replaced the bunk bed not very long after she got to us, and she came into the room and was walking towards my new bed, and I was like, no, kitty, because I didn't want any of them on my bed yet because it was a new bed. She was just meowing, meow, 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 meow. She wouldn't shut up. And that's why she's named Squeak.
Yep.
This is the apple tree. And now we're like, what, 2-3 acre property?
No, like half an acre.
Oh, okay. I don't know how eulogies even go with people, let alone what's philosophically appropriate for an animal.
She was a good cat. That's all that matters.
She was a very good cat.
She was the best.
The only bad habit she really inherited from Catsy was the vomiting. But other than that, she wasn't even vaguely like a problematic cat.
No. Catsy wasn't even a problem.
I mean, I don't mean to be cruel in
Right, yeah.
describing some of their inconveniences as bad things, but it is true.
Yeah. But Catsy was food insecure when we found her, so she had a tendency to lapse back into that and overeat and puke.
She also was obsessed with trying to get back outside, and she also liked attacking red cups, and so we stopped using red cups for the most part, even now. So Squeak's heart it just stopped. But when you arrived at,
The heart was damaged. The most common cause of death for hyperthyroidism is the heart giving out, because it damages the heart little by little every day. So it just can't work anymore. And we made her as comfortable as possible to drive over to the vet, but it was just still too stressful for her. And the vet laid her down on the table for her just to get out.
even with that said, I can't help but soapbox that all this is our fault. Human beings, in my opinion, like, I don't know if there's a God, okay?
Of course there's a
But
God. You're asking the wrong question.
I don't know if there's a God or not. But if there is, one of the things he put us on this earth to do is use our critical thinking as human beings to care for other life forms.
I agree.
So everything that happens to our animals, to human created animals, is our responsibility.
That's right.
Period.
That's right.
It's not fair to the animal to think of them as, like as innocuous or as a person, because both of those intersect in a realm where if you don't let go of that mindset, the animal is gonna get hurt. So you can't just be cruel to it, and you can't just treat it like a person. You have to understand that they need our help.
That's right.
It is our responsibility to care for these creatures. Especially the people who actually own animals and breed the animals, which we're not doing, but that's just a thing that happens that other people do that are often pretty fucking unethical. Trying to resist not screaming. You said you took photos of her?
Yes.
Okay, well, this is a thought I had with Catsy, but I'm an adult now and I'm recording this, so if we ever become wealthy, one thing I want us to do is to make like really fancy gravestones for all these animals.
Absolutely.
I don't care if there's like a curse from like a pet cemetery fuck ass curse. I don't give a shit. I want that. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that's a thing that some people might be concerned with. Which is retarded. They're She was an incredibly sweet cat with honestly very few flaws whatsoever.
She was beautiful. She was the most beautiful cat there was for 17 to 18 years.
I'm glad she got old. Ish. We should do our best with like the whole diet research thing, like that one guy, that one guy who made his cats live for like 30 fucking years.
Yeah. Just toss it on the tube. Feeling like
pack it a bit, so there's more to dig up between the stones. There aren't going to be necessarily giant, big animals that can move all the rocks and all the dirt.
The only animal big enough to move this, well, there are a few animals.
Well, you know, big dogs, maybe.
I don't think that the big dogs are going to come back here, and I'm going to tell the neighbor not to send the big dogs back here, and also, I don't think there are any wolves or coyotes in the area. And
I don't know about that. I feel like there are coyotes, but sure, whatever. Keep talking.
I don't think there are any badgers. If there were badgers, they would have dug up the previous grave.
There are skunks and possums, but there are...
Skunks aren't strong enough.
Yeah.
Neither are possums. Even the fat one that lives back here.
Probably also the raccoon that we keep seeing.
Yep.
He probably isn't strong enough.
No.
And they probably don't want to bother anyway.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
No.
I don't know what your thoughts on death are philosophically, but because I don't know what it is, or whether or not anything supernatural or godlike is literal, I just see it as an adversary, and I don't really like.
We're supposed to fight death, yes.
I don't like pretending that it's supposed to be okay. I feel like most human instincts to try and reconcile with death, it kind of pisses me off. Because a lot of it insists that you're happy. And death is a good thing in some indirect fashion. And I think that's just copium. I think we just have invented that to help ourselves sleep at night, and that pisses me off.
Some people are tired of living by the time they reach the end, and some people are not. Squeak was a fighter. She lived for so long. And we weren't able to help her fast enough.
It's not just our fault as in humanity, and I'm not trying to say that we're like some sort of abusive cat family. There's no way we're even close to like the actual bad people. So, you know, I'm not trying to give us no credit, but like it's ultimately literally our fault.
I know. Let's stop recording and go back to the house.
I love this animal.
I do too. It's okay to cry.
I will now be taking questions. Your question can pertain to anything related to any of this, the stream, the subject, or even if you just want to ask me to rewind a bit and go back to any particular picture, or go to any particular part of the video. Whatever the case, you may now ask, and I will respond. And of course, the first thing I would like somebody to say is if the sound is fine, because I've been adjusting the microphone and the desktop over and over again and all that. Was it just an ongoing health issue from age? More or less, apparently yes. The reason I attribute fault to us isn't just it's both philosophical and literal, but also I'm not saying it in sort of like a morally criminal fashion either, because philosophically, well, I sort of explained that in the video. But another reason it's our fault, or rather the bigger reason that it's our fault, is that I don't feel we were a bit ignorant, and we were not, we weren't hasty enough. We didn't understand that she wasn't just getting old, she was getting old and sick. And so suddenly she had a, well, actually it wasn't suddenly. I'll explain exactly what happened. We have a cat problem in our area, and we have this thing where we keep attempting to trap cats that appear in our backyard to get them spayed and neutered. And we've done this several times. We've done this with like at least 3 kitten litters before that have been brought to our doorstep by a stray cat. And so recently, specifically this year, we got 2 others indoors, which was very problematic because we already had 5 animals indoors, so having 7 was ridiculous. But one of them had a respiratory infection. We quarantined him as much as we could. We took care of him. He was very sick, like so sick, I would have not been surprised if he could have died of us not taking care of him. Point being is that he had a respiratory infection. We kept him, I almost segregated, Jesus. We kept him quarantined. And unfortunately, the only main animal in our house cat family, the only one to receive the respiratory infection from the new little boy, was our senior, Squeak. And she was already thinning out. And again, she was very thin. There was a photo I showed earlier. This is the freeform part of the stream, by the way. We can talk for a very long time. There's no set reason for me to end at the next hour or at the next hour after that if people still want to keep talking about this and talking to me and asking questions and all that. Especially because, if I'm going to be honest, like, I don't want to I don't want to go viral for the purpose of, like, attention for myself. I just want this particular subject to go viral, just so that there's, you know, as many records of her life, you know, as possible on the internet. Excuse me. Okay. I would want there to be, like, as much information about her as possible just on the internet as a record. Because I've said this as like a sort of a joke before, but I think that the internet is a form of modern archaeology. I think that one day explorers will literally plunge the depths of old internets to find ancient files of human history. I unironically think that's probably like a real thing that will happen, because we already have the technology to like make things virtually indestructible. And eventually, like, that's what's going to happen to, like, most information on the internet that has not been just deleted by some nonsense, like the worst solar flare in the history of the solar system or some shit. So, like, I want as much propagation of, you know, her face on the internet, okay? And I'm not expecting to go viral, but, you know, any amount of a push towards that, I would like, you know. So this is the free-form stream. You can ask me and we can talk for however we want. And what I was saying before is that this is an example. As you can see how thin she is. This is one of the more recent images. And this isn't even her sick with the infection. This is just her as she has looked in the recent year in health. You know, you compare to this, like, she's very full, you know. So, and what our thought was is that this was normal for a senior house cat. That's what we thought. but I believe we were mistaken. And her inordinate thinness, in spite of the fact that she was eating a lot, she was still eating enough that her bad habit of vomiting, like, she was still doing that, even though she was this thin. So we failed to recognize that she was not just getting old, she was old and sick. The reason for me to bring this up after so many tangents, because my memory right now, I guess, is kind of perfect over this subject. She got a respiratory infection while she was in this state. So, but we didn't know that this was a state of her being old and sick. We thought she was just, oh no, our eldest cat caught the infection. We're a bit worried. We're gonna take her to the vet to get her checked out for all this stuff. And we were doing that at the pacing of a family that is like, oh, she's sick with one thing. You know, she's coincidentally old and thin and then sick with one thing. That is why we were mistaken. And that's one of the reasons why I say it was literally our fault, because we were ignorant of what was happening. So I forgot one of my other cats is behind me. Maybe I'll give the microphone to her later. We failed to recognize that, and so we failed to recognize when the respiratory infection was potentially about to kill her. We failed to recognize that. So, to our actual surprise and shock, for me it was the early morning, because I was up until like 7:30 a.m. Yesterday, the 2nd of June? Please tell me it's June, not July. Okay, yeah, it's June. Wait, I didn't even actually look. Yes, June. So like yesterday, like 7 in the morning in June 2nd. Like she was in the bathroom. My assumption being is that she was she was in the bathroom a lot in the recent week, because the humidity of the bathroom was making her able to breathe easier through the infection, because, you know, it makes it makes anybody, cat or not, just stuffy, you know, congested like I am. So, hold on, I need to make sure. Okay. So, when she started coughing and panting, again, we were in this mindset of, oh, she's old and she's sick. But because we didn't know that she was sicker on top of that, we failed to understand that the moment she started having trouble breathing and panting, we should have immediately gone to some sort of emergency vet. And so it turned out, and ironically, as it turned out, I'd actually, that's probably not the right word of the word ironic, but the respiratory infection itself did not kill her. As you may have heard, hopefully you could hear it over the wind shear and what my brother said. But what he said is that we suspected, my father apparently and brother apparently suspected that she had hyperthyroidism, and that a common cause of death in cats of that is heart failure, because it just gives out. And so it wasn't actually the respiratory infection that directly killed her. It's just she wasn't getting enough oxygen because of how much panting she was doing, and because she was having trouble breathing, and that reduction of oxygen from the infection led to her heart giving out right as she was presented at the vet's examination table. Okay. Yeah, my dad's German Shepherd got like that when she got old too. Some animals do tend to stop eating when they get old. She had arthritis and poor bowel control, which is common when they get old. My sister worked at a vet at the time, and we had to put her down because she wouldn't eat, and we didn't want her to starve to death. My dad couldn't be there because he loved that dog. Oof. You know, it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of different ways to, like, deal with grief, even, within the same gender, even across genders. It's a lot of behaviors are very same, but also very different. A lot of men just tuck her down, and they just try to become as stoic as possible, but sometimes that leads them to simply just ignoring things that happened before. and all that. This is gonna sound weird, but I wished that I had been awake so that I could have seen the light leave her eyes. Because that's a pain I want. I want that pain. I want to keep it. Because it's not fair for any level of information, even pain, you know, to be erased for a creature. A very, very good and innocent creature. So if I was in your dad's place, I would have been in there looking that dog in the eyes. Because that's just how... maybe that's me being weird. Like I'm a fucking necromancer or some nonsense. Sorry if there's a bunch of blah, blah, blah with the microphone. I was taking a drink because I'm holding it right now. So make sure you tell me if it's too loud and all that. But you already did, so. There's probably a lot more images. By the way, this is my stupid face. There's probably a lot more images of this animal. From much younger. That my parents probably have on their old dead computers. I distinctly remember like 10 years ago, the desktop computer Dad was using, he had a facial portrait of Squeak as his background. And I don't know what his pictures on his phone and computer are now, but I do remember that as being a distinct photo, and I definitely didn't find it anywhere on my phone or on my brother's phone. Some of these are just pristine, by the way. They're kind of incredible. Like, this is... I want you... Like, the vibe of this image of this animal... And I want you to imagine that this animal, when you walk over to it and you actually, like, pet it, it does not stop making noise. Just meow, 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 meow. LBG says, yeah, me and my sister and my stepmom had the benefit of being there for her in her final moments. It was a good bit of closure. My dad was the meme of the dad that never wanted the dog but ends up loving it. She loved him too, and when him and my stepmom separated, she got depressed and wouldn't eat unless he fed her. They were very close. Wow. Ugh. Holy shit. Oh, man, LBG, a lot of unfortunate things have happened to my family, but I can't say I envy, like, a divorced parents situation. I'm sure you're a strong person for it, obviously, and I'm sure you've coped with it for plenty of time, but, that is, that's crazy, especially because, like, I had the thought literally today, because I walked out to her grave, and I literally had the thought that, like, this house, me and my brother, one of us has to own this property forever until we die, because, we can't just sell this property to some random schmuck. So we can't just, like, marry some woman we would have any inkling of thought that might, like, marry us and then try to steal the house. Like, we can't do that. Because nobody is going to fucking do anything to any pet grave on this fucking property unless it's add on to it. So I had that thought, like, we can't sell this house. Like, one of us has to live in it. Don't worry about it. My parent situation isn't as tragic as it sounds, but I don't want to steal your moment. No. Again, this is the freeform part. This is the freeform part. You know, this could go on for like another 5 minutes or another 50 minutes. I don't know. You know, this part is the freeform part, because man, like, I don't know how any algorithms work, but you want to know what I've seen? I've seen plenty of cat videos featuring cats that died recently, and they get lots of views. And, like, I'm not gonna lie, I want that. Not because I want attention for me, but I just want as much digital information of this animal to exist as possible indefinitely. So I sort of do want that virality, so I don't really mind dragging this out, so long as there's, you know, things to actually talk about, you know? So again, any questions and remember, your questions can be requests. And also, you know, your questions don't have to be just those of you who are unfamiliar. You can also ask me to, like, go back to any particular image, or again, go back to the video, or clarify anything I talked about earlier, etc. Yeah, there are a lot. I'm glad we have a lot of images of her where you can really see how much of a cloud she was. She really, like, in retrospect, you know, very much like a cotton ball. She has like a cotton ball complexion. Well, okay, I should say had. I'm glad we have at least one image that's like this. These are always fun. These are always very fun. And your questions can be about anything that is in any of the images as well. Again, like, the whole thing is completely freeform. And anything you want to ask about anything I've said already as well, you know. A calico cotton ball. Yep. She was a cotton ball. I do not know what the fuck. What kind of monster do you have to be to, like, have a little kitten cotton ball and throw it in somebody's backyard for... like, you know, I'm angry at them, but at the same time, I feel bad for them because they didn't get to have this creature. Also, when I did the math, and it turns out that, like, she came to us, like, in 2007 or 8, I was floored. Because I was like, wow, it feels like it wasn't enough time. It didn't feel like, didn't feel like it was that long. Like, that feels like like I must have been like a baby, but like 2007? Are you serious? Holy shit! Doesn't seem like it was long enough. And it wasn't. Because if we weren't ignorant, who knows how much longer it could have been. So now, whenever our next two cats become seniors, our next two oldest cats become seniors, the next two oldest being this one and this one. Once they're seniors, we're not gonna even vaguely... We're not fucking, like, gonna be confused, you know, about, you know, the nature of what it means for them to be, you know, old at that point. Like, if I ever own a cat ever again, or just am caring for a cat ever again, and it is bony, like she was at this stage, we're not just gonna fuck around. We're gonna make sure that, like, they're not contracting really fucking bad, untreated, chronic diseases that senior cats get. We're gonna make sure we are on top of that. Because we just thought that her getting this thin was normal, but it wasn't normal. So we're not gonna fuck with that again. We're gonna make sure we are on top of that again. God damn it, why does it have to cut off at the top? Oh, dude, when I worked at McDonald's, someone dropped off a box of, like, 6 kittens at, like, 4 a.m. They had gotten out of the box, and one fell down the storm drain. Luckily, we got it, and it didn't get injured. Another got inside the wall, and we had to lure it out with a fish fillet. Someone at work took them all in because I'm allergic and we can't have pets. Oh, people can be evil, dang. Your point earlier. I am very happy. Just a moment, I'm gonna need to cough and take a drink. Oops, I bumped the microphone pretty bad right there. Sorry. I feel like I've sweat like 2 pounds the past 2.5 days. But I'm very happy that, you know, whatever kitten litter situations you've encountered in your life, that, you know, somebody actually took care of them. My God. I don't know how, like, LBG, I don't know exactly where you live, but the part of the, like, the place that I live in a small city in Northwest Ohio. We have an unbelievably bad stray cat problem. It is unbelievable how bad it is. And, you know, I'm glad that we are the type of cat owners that actually care and are conscientious about things, because at first we were just when we noticed a ludicrous surplus of cats entering our neighborhoods, well, quote unquote neighborhoods. We live like on the literal border between suburbia and suburbia and rural areas. We live like literally on that border, so it's not quite a neighborhood. But once we started noticing that like a lot of stray cats were showing up, at first my parents just started feeding them, which was disconcerting because that's not really a good idea necessarily to do that. And then when we noticed that they were multiplying ludicrously quickly, that's when we started doing this practice of trying to capture them and spay and neuter them as often as we possibly fucking can. Okay, I am not joking. I would not be surprised if between now and 2019 we have cared for damn near close to like 100 animals, whether they appeared in the yard and we tried to get them help, or they brought a litter of kittens to us and we had to try and fucking take care of a litter of kittens. And again, getting as many of them spayed and neutered as possible and getting them to homes, because like here's like the stray cat problem here, LBG, is so bad. It is so bad that my parents seem to have given up on the waiting lists for no-kill shelters. Those shelters have waiting lists that apparently at this moment in time are just unspeakable. Like the 2 new young cats that we have now, you know, we had 7 2 days ago, now we have 6. The 2 new little cats we just got, like, that we just brought in, I was calling them foster cats because I didn't want to let go of the reality that we shouldn't have so many animals. But at this point, I feel like we're at a point where I don't really know what we're logistically gonna do, but it's probably not gonna involve being able to find people that will take them in, because that's just how long the waiting lists are. I would assume that the shelters that perform euthanasia are probably have available spots, but I don't like the implication that any animal I may have taken care of would be just killed for convenience in a crowded shelter, you know, because they're inconvenient. The kitten distribution system is constantly trying to give me cats. I found one trying to climb the spackle wall at a movie theater, 2 by my house because of the strays, that box at work, and another few at my dad's house that they kept. You know, I think my brother Mantarock that you talked in chat, I think he's shitting right now. I could be wrong, but I think he's shitting right now because I heard the bathroom door is right next to my room, which is the room I stream in, my bedroom, and I heard like the bathroom door open and shut after heavy footfall, so I assume that he's in there shitting as we speak. Fuck. Oh god damn it, I lost my train of thought. I was mentioning him for a reason. Maybe I'll remember. Or maybe you'll tell me what my sentence was before I trailed off and forgot. If there's anything I've learned from the KDS is that white women are God-sent to give kittens to. That's funny. However, first of all, they change their mind very quickly if it's a litter. Second of all, I wouldn't trust random white women because I would assume that they would be bad catto. I guess I'm racist against my own kind, I suppose, but I feel like white women have a bit of a high likelihood of not necessarily being prepared to have a cat. You know, I would need to know them, you know? Like, I couldn't just give it to a woman because she's a white woman, right? Oh, right, I remember what I was gonna say. My brother is also, he has allergies for cats. Maybe LBG, maybe your allergies are way worse, like extraordinarily worse. So maybe it's not an option for you, but the point of me bringing it up is that, man, like, I don't think you have to completely deny owning a cat or two, preferably two, so that when you're at work they have a playmate. I wouldn't suggest people get a singular cat unless they are somebody that works at home or has like a dog that is a very, 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 very friendly dog. Do you need to shit? No. I haven't even eaten today yet. I got up at 5 and I immediately remembered I need to change a few things about the stream to make it make some sort of sense. So like I've just been preparing for this since I woke up, really. I haven't had food yet. Oh, the litter was taken in by a male coworker. I don't know, almost every white woman I've met has a cat. Also, the only reason I'm okay with it is because I couldn't take them and I didn't want them to be stuck outside alone. My cat allergies aren't bad, but my eyes get super irritated. Well, I mean... You see, what I do... Actually, you know what? I have no fucking idea how allergies technically work for animals. Look, I'm short. I have the voice of a teenage boy. But if there's one genetic lottery I won, it's that I do not have a single fucking animal allergy or, like, plant allergy or seeming major food allergy. Like, I don't have any allergic reaction shit. So I'm fucking lucky in that regard. But what I was gonna say is that if I don't want to get, like, filth, like, if I'm feeling like, oh, I don't want, like, any sort of ambient animal residue on the palms of my hands, like, what I do is I just pet them with the back of my hands. So, like, if you're worried that you'll pet the cat, then touch your eyes and get super irritated, just don't pet them with the front of your hand. But then again, maybe that's not how that works. Maybe it has to do with them dispensing dander, and somehow, like, microscopic dander triggers your allergies. That's why I sort of cut myself off and was like, I don't know how allergies work. I'm just saying, just because you got allergies doesn't mean you can't have cats. Like, my brother has allergies to these animals, and, like, he doesn't really complain very often about them. Which isn't to say that they're insignificant, but it is at the very least to say that he doesn't mind the consequence of having cats with his allergies. He's fine with suffering through those consequences. Arrogam meds? No, I took my meds. I accidentally took a Tylenol instead of an ibuprofen, though, which confused me when I thought back on it, because I was like, oh my god, wait, did I take my meds, or am I remembering taking them last night? And fortunately, because I was sort of locking in for the whole time in preparation for the stream. Like, I was locking in. And so I had enough memory to be like, oh, I actually fucked up. And I just accidentally took the wrong over-the-counter. But otherwise, I did take it. I think it's just the dander and saliva, because I don't have to pet them. It's just easier that I don't, but our landlord also doesn't allow pets. Plus, my mom isn't a fan of pets. Huh. If it's not apparent from the photos and from the way me and my brother talked in the video and the way I've been talking in the second part of this stream, like, we also live with our parents, and what you've implied with what you just said is that you rent with your mom, because otherwise why would her being not a fan of pets matter, right? You know, if she wasn't living with you. My mom and stepdad, yes. Right. Wow, you guys, wait, so you have a landlord, but you're like a nuclear family? Wow. God. Again, I don't know where you live and you don't have to tell me, but God, that sounds awful. I hope it's not like... I hope you're not living in, like, a big-ass city area, metropolitan area with... It's just cheaper and it kills me. I wish I could move out. Oof. Again, like I was saying earlier, it's a bit of a blessing that we have a property. I overestimated. I thought it was like an acre or two. But then my brother was like, no, it's like half an acre. But then, you know, you saw the panning shot, you know. It's still pretty sizable, and to be quite frank, the more I think about the living culture and the housing culture going on in the developed world right now, largely the West, because Asia censors itself so much that you don't really know exactly what's happening in China, Japan, Korea, etc. So I don't know how they're doing with their housing situations in those countries, but in the Western developed world, the way that housing culture is going, like, I'm circling around to believing that the fact that I still live in my childhood house is actually a very fucking good thing. Because I don't know how a random disabled internet man is, I don't know how the fuck, like, there's gonna be some expectation that I could buy an entire other fucking house. Nothing against my parents, I'm just 28, single, and can't afford it on my own, and they can't afford me moving out. But people keep moving to North Carolina, and it's getting god-awful. Oh, you live in the South. Ooh, interesting. People keep moving to North Carolina, and it's getting god-awful. So wait a moment. Was the housing situation okay where you were living until, like, the past few years when people noticed the housing was okay where you lived, and so they started moving there, and now the housing now the housing curse is spreading to where you live? Is that what you're getting at? And yeah, like, it is miserable for us men in our late 20s, early 30s, maybe even just in general, but, like, this isn't necessarily a thing that, like, 21-year-old men think about, but this is something that men in their late 20s, early 30s think about quite a lot, is that, like, there's this fucking storm cloud of cultural shame levied against any man that does not have the appearance of success, rather than apparent virtues that they hold. So the result is that we still live with our parents and we feel terrible about it, but if we're going to be honest, we shouldn't. Like, it's bullshit, it's not fair. It's the fucking housing market is not in a place right now where it makes sense that we should be treating men in our situation as worthless pieces of shit. Now, I'm a bit worthless because I'm just a disabled man with a general education degree that's just trying to help his elderly parents, because they had me when they were older, and so they are old themselves now. So, like, I don't contribute a lot to society, but like, fuck's sake, I'm not really trying to I don't get disability checks or anything, so I'm not really I'm not like a net negative. So, you know, I don't think it's fair that culture would look at me and say that I'm immoral in some capacity. Like, that's fucking horseshit. Fuck you. You know, if you're a type of person who, like, is in that mindset of, oh, you still live with your parents? Fuck you. Have my taxes, it's fine. That's what Amazon Prime, that's what your Prime subscription is for. By the way, anyone listening to this in post or at the moment who's, like, a lurker, apologies for ads. I cannot turn those. I couldn't figure out how to quickly turn those off because I'm a Twitch affiliate and they're just automatically there. I mean, it's kind of the same for the rest of the country, but 10 years ago, houses were 1/3 of what they are now, plus the population tripled in, like, the last 5 years. Do you mean the population of North Carolina? Because the population of the United States has absolutely not tripled in the past 5 years. If you mean, like, the population where you live has tripled, then yeah, I believe that, yeah. Right. It's very interesting because where I live, like, because we live on that border between rural and suburbia, like, the neighborhoods next to us, like, adjacent, like, if you're standing on our porch and you look at the houses nearby us, the place that's the community closest to us is a fucking senior condo. It's like several dozen houses designed specifically for, like, retired seniors. And then if you look adjacent to our house from other angles, we have, like, small factory buildings that are being built slowly over time. So, like, my property is being slowly surrounded by the furthest edges of suburbia, in addition to industrial activities of companies trying to take this land that's unused by farmers at the moment and just trying to build cheap, like, paper mache looking ass facilities. But if you go just like half a mile down the street, you know, towards more civilization, there's hundreds of fucking houses contained in like 3 cul-de-sacs that are interconnected, and only one of them is like that cartoon cul-de-sac that's like 12 houses with a fucking dead end. Only one of them is like that. The other 2 are massive and have dozens, if not hundreds, of houses. So like, you turn in one direction where I live, there's just so many people. You turn the other direction, old people, farmland, paper mache factories. So like, this is all to say that I do not have any fucking idea what the population demographic is gonna look like in 5 or 10 years from where I'm at. I don't know if there's gonna be giant factories nearby where I live. I don't know if there's gonna be an even bigger cul-de-sacs that keep consuming more and more and more unused farmland. Like, I have no fucking idea. So the fact that you're telling me that you've noticed personally that in the place you live, the place you live is like so rural or so tightly knit in suburbia that you noticed its population increase, that's wild. And the fact that you still have to rent, oh god, that it's all apartments and low income housing at $1,800 a month. The houses are like $500,000. Low income housing to purchase $500,000. Unfucking believable. It's unfucking believable. I don't know if you've seen this before, but of like there's a YouTuber like Psy Home Reviews or something. And he's just this guy named Cyril in Arizona, and he's a home inspector, and he makes YouTube shorts about how bad new home construction companies are in the United States, particularly where he lives, because apparently like the building companies, like apparently at the very least in Arizona, the building companies are fucking terrible. Like, newly built American houses are awful. The walls are made of like a single layer of drywall. Like, you can just punch holes in the walls. You know, this is something that Europeans have been confused about before. Like, when they see American television or home videos from America and people punch holes in their walls, that's all real, because the fucking walls for American houses made in the last 20 years are fucking made of paper mache drywall. You can punch through them into an empty wall with, sometimes they don't even have insulation. Like, that's how bad the new houses are. It's all Charlotte. It's growing so much. So the city of Charlotte, I don't know if you're indicating that that's where you live, but so the city of Charlotte has just massively increased. Is he the black guy that says that ain't right, or the white guy with the stick in hand? I'm sorry, who? I apologize. Who's he? The inspector. He's the white. He's white. He's a white guy. If you mean stick in hand, as in the pole and where he has the little glove at the end of it and he points at the signs, and I live near Charlotte. Right. So you lived in like either you lived nearby, so you live nearby Charlotte in some urban or suburban area, and you've literally witnessed the population triple. That is wild. Holy fuck. People are being pushed out by all the new people moving here, mostly Yanks. So people from the north have moved to North Carolina and Charlotte in the south in search of better housing, but the result of them doing that has made the housing awful. And some of the people who used to live there are now leaving as a result. That fucking sucks. When we got Squeak as a kitten, there wasn't even a senior condo. There were hardly any like paper mache factory buildings near us. However, for my entire life that I have ever had cognizant thought, you know, so okay, I'm retarded, but I forget if it's north or south, but like you saw in the video earlier when I did a panning shot with the phone, for my entire life there has been a fucking truck stop depot adjacent, right behind our property. And you want to know what's funny? I never even knew what it was until until yesterday, when I escorted my mother to the Squeak's grave. We were just making small talk, and I ended up asking her what the fuck do they even do at that place, and she told me, oh yeah, it's just like a truck stop depot for them to like supply their stuff and then leave. Like it's like a checkpoint for trucks or whatever. And I was like, oh wow, why did I never knew that. I never asked, and I never knew, and I just didn't ever fucking bother to know, even though it's been there my whole fucking life. But it wasn't until like the past 5-10 years that all this shit has been built. But when Squeak first was dropped here, like it was a lot closer to just being us and cornfields adjacent to us. Like that's how fucking like absurd. That's like that's how underdeveloped it was before. Which is why it's so wild that somebody evil just randomly chose a random house on the border between suburbia and rural farms, and they were just like, yeah, let's throw this fucking kitten, apparently. Ugh. Cheaper, so they have a lot of work from home type jobs and make New York, there's other states too, money, but live in cheap homes. So all of us are pushed out of the market as a result. The only reason I know this is because I tow cars and talk to people all the time. You'd be surprised who you met. Uh-oh, the cat that's in my room looks like she might want to go, but I don't want her to do that, so hold on. Joey! I'm not gonna know if you guys are gonna be able to hear this very well, but Joey. Hey, talk to the microphone, Joey. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear that very well, or if it's substantive in any capacity. Joey, come on! What are you doing? No, you should get back up on my bed. And remember, guys, you can ask anything that you want. You can request I go back to any particular image, or to go to any part of the video I showed you. And I suppose I could also do a checkpoint every once in a while where I say hello. You are in the second half of a memorial stream for the death of my last childhood pet. All the pets I have had, other than Squeak, I was an adult. I could not hear the cat, sadly. God damn it. Really? Fuck. Joey. You can't hear that. You can't hear that scraping. She's rubbing her face directly on the microphone. Your mic filters don't pick up as much as you think. Maybe I should remove the filter. Temporarily. Oh, you heard the rubbing. Aha! Hey, Joey, make a noise. Make more noise, Joey. She's purring, so I would like that to be something you can hear. She's definitely really wanting to leave the room, though. She was laying on the bed basically the whole stream until, like 2 minutes ago. Yeah, just rubbed her jaw right on that. She probably has a small amount of acne on her chin. That's why she rubs against objects in this specific fashion. Oh, God! The microphone immediately fell over when I tried to put it down. But yeah, so if you're new here, this was a memorial stream for my last childhood pet. Every other one of my cats I've owned since then I began as an adult. And something I want. This is everyone in my household's fault. And it kind of feels bad that we've been taking care of so many animals for so many years on a basis that unfortunately is very consequence heavy, I'm trying to find the exact words for it. Trial and error. That's what I was trying to remember. It's been very trial and error like, which is unfortunately sucks. I hate that in a lot of ways because the animal pays the price if we make a mistake. And one of those mistakes that I'm going to confess to right now is that Squeak was the last cat that we declawed. And I know that I would have been like 12 or 13 years old at the time, but I should have known better sooner. I didn't know any better until years after we got Squeak, when my first childhood cat died, who's named Catsy, who was mentioned in the video. After she died, that's when we got our two now oldest cats, which is, again, it's this fella and this girl. Like, when we got them, and they were kittens, at one point, I ended up researching whether or not, like, how does declawing even work? And it turned out it was really awful, because it's an amputation of the first digit in each of the cat's claws. And I found this out, and then I made the declaration to the rest of the family. This is bad and unethical. We're not doing this to any other animal. And so, these two oldest now, they are not declawed, and no cat is ever going to be declawed by us ever again, because it's inhumane. I will have to bounce in a bit. That's totally fine. If there are other people that end up joining and asking questions, I will simply continue talking. And if there's nobody here who wants to hear about, who wants to ask extra questions, we will simply end, and that'll be it. Something I'll tell you though, because you're here, LBG, I'm not going to stream on Friday, Saturday this week. I am going to be trying to make a memorial YouTube video. I probably will not be using this stream's footage. I might use some of it, but for the most part, I'm going to try to make a memorial video for this animal. And again, I'm not going to expect to go viral, but I do want to attempt to get... I want as much I want her to be viral because I want her existence to be known and acknowledged. Heard about the other streams? Yeah, I won't be streaming Friday, Saturday this week. I'm going to be working on a video instead for YouTube. Next week, at the very least on Wednesday, it will be a chill stream. And then maybe I will be not a fucking lazy jackass, and I'll have a new game for Friday, Saturday. Yeah, I didn't know declawing was that invasive until a few years ago, but I gotta bounce, people showed up in my Discord. Okay. I'll lurk until you close out. Again, sorry for your loss. Thank you very much. I understand. I appreciate the time that you give to us, LBG. And I appreciate you being one of the few that isn't a part of our real life that joined us here. I really do appreciate that. Maybe this is the time when you can like send like your Warframe username to me on Discord, and then my brother could maybe correspond with you, and then we could I don't know, we could possibly play Warframe together, you know? I don't see why not. Oh, and another thing I want to say is that once I am finally satisfied about my propagation efforts for Squeak on the internet, once I'm satisfied with that, I think I'm going to immediately start trying to shop for a new gaming laptop and use this current laptop as a backup. Not exactly as a time capsule, because this album is on Google, so long as my Google passwords are a physical thing that exists, I'm going to write them down on paper later. So long as my passwords for all of my technology is written on paper, in theory, anything that I put on the cloud on the internet will exist forever, even if I die tomorrow. Because my passwords will exist, and so all information I have ever put onto the cloud will exist. So this animal, the evidence of this animal's existence will last forever beyond me. It will be on the internet forever. So I don't really need to think of this laptop itself as a time capsule. I'm gonna end up downloading like all of these pictures to use in the memorial video that I'll put on YouTube, that I'll make for YouTube. Tara might, there's a I don't promise this because she didn't promise this. There is a non-zero chance that Tara might have time to do some art, and if she did do some art, that'll also go in that memorial video. You know, no, again, I'm not gonna pressure her. She has her time cut out for her, you know. Some hacker is gonna steal our info and be annoyed at what we consider valuable. Especially, dude, you're right, especially for me, because what they'll find is like animal pictures and then segregated to a completely different place. Just tons of pornography. Artistic stuff though, like illustration. So like I have these two things that I have in massive stock. Oh my god, you know what? I just remembered there is one more video. Again, LBG, I know you said that you're lurking. If there's even a moment that you have to see in addition to hear this video, it's very short. It's 23 seconds. Let's see if the sound works. And we are, yes.
What the hell? When did you get... What's this? Jacob, what's this? Wow. When did you get this?
This morning.
Oh. You want to explain what happened, or do you think it speaks for itself?
I think it speaks for itself.
All right. Excellent.
That was literally today. That was literally today. Guy's a madman, and I had no idea that we had tattoo artists in my city that were even vaguely so good as to do that so quickly. That is so impressive. That is so impressive. Unbelievable. Oh. Suppose a few things I should say. Even if nobody new is going to come in and ask like very specific, unique questions, there's still things I can talk about and explain, and just keep talking for at least a little bit longer. So our two now eldest cats. This is Buddy, because he is everyone's friend. That is the most unusual thing about him. He likes everyone. The cat tattoo is an essential component of my disguise. No one will suspect me of being an evil wizard. Not gonna lie, man, if a bunch of people see this stream, they are going to immediately, before I even say this right now, they are going to immediately know that you are an autist, okay? Just the way you speak in the video and the way you type is... they're gonna know, okay? They're gonna be onto you immediately, instantly. But yeah, so this cat here is Buddy. And then this is the girl you all heard rubbing against the microphone earlier. This is Joey. She is a big, fat chungus that smells bad, but she is still our princess. And as you probably noticed, Buddy in particular, he had... I don't want to... As I said in the video, I don't want to anthropomorphize animals too much, because I genuinely feel that anthropomorphizing animals to a point is extremely inappropriate, and it can lead to misunderstandings about the mental and physical faculties of an animal. And so that anthropomorphization, in my opinion, can be harmful to the animal. I think that it is essential that animals be seen for exactly what they are. Human beings might be animals, and a lot of us are very fucking dumb. However, there is no animal that is even vaguely close to the intelligence of, like, even like a 60 IQ human being. Because, like, a human being with 60 IQ can still create the construct known as language inside their brain. Animals literally do not have the ability to create abstractions and then associate them with things. So I don't want to overly anthropomorphize any of our animals, because I do not want them to be, I don't want us to make mistakes. I want it to be understood that these creatures, all of our creatures, particularly the ones that have been genetically engineered by human beings, these animals need us. It is our responsibility to make sure that they do not suffer. Period. And that requires us accepting that we're better, or rather, we are smarter. We are significantly smarter. We know better than they do. They don't know what they don't know, and that's a good thing. Because I think the true overarching intrigue of being a pet owner is witnessing an animal become something that the wild would never let it become. Because animals in the wild live every day off of scarcity. Especially animals like house cats, who are invasive species, who are in a ecological position that they destroy the ecology so much when they are released outside that they run out of food because they kill everything that's native, and they run out of food, and then they starve to death and suffer. So it's essential that it be understood how much these creatures need us, and how irresponsible it is to be bad to them, and how irresponsible it is to anthropomorphize them too much. That being said, the way Buddy treated Squeak, it really... I don't know whether to say it as a close sibling relationship or a bordering on a mother-kitten relationship. At the very least, this is the way it used to be. But again, I don't want to overly anthropomorphize any of them. I might be overthinking it. It might just be they had a good social bond, he found extreme comfort in her, so he interacted with her a lot. And there's no other meaning to it than that. But that's okay. They don't know what they don't know, and that's a good thing. And the things that they do know, the reason they know them is because their life as being a house pet has given them the mental and emotional freedom to become an animal that is able to know. That is not a thing you get with wild animals. Not even feral animals, I don't think, in my opinion. Maybe there are exceptions, but that is not a thing that you get with wild animals. They don't have the chance to do that through any other means but long-term evolution. But as long as we're taking care of them, they can become something else, something that is simply not possible in the wild. So if the case is that he does know, and in the next few days, months, weeks, he starts to show us that he knows. In fact, bro, last night I was watching videos on my phone, and one of the videos had these stereo noises in it that made me think that people in the house were like screaming or something. And dude, like I got up while you were in the bathroom and I told you that Buddy was at the door meowing at you for some reason. What happened after that? Because I went to bed. Unless you're not at the computer and you can't answer that question, in which case, duh, I asked that at a moment that doesn't make any sense. But the reason I'm on that tangent is that maybe he does know. Maybe Buddy does know. And if he doesn't know now, maybe he'll know in the next few days, weeks, or months. Maybe he will notice. Maybe we will notice him notice. And if he does, and if it's true that he does, it's because we were able to give him an environment where he can do that. And if he doesn't know, that's also a good thing. He doesn't have to suffer knowing. But whatever the case is, maybe the truth is somewhere in between. Maybe he'll know a little bit. But that's fine. Anything on the scale, on this spectrum of possibilities is fine. As long as we understand what's important about the situation. It may have been hard to see her here, but she was over here. So, these are the two animals that I have not mentioned the names of yet. This is Elkie. Before we got our two newest additions, Elkie was the second youngest. She came to us. She literally interrupted my brother when he was doing a delivery for his job. She was just in the road as a kitten, and he picked her up, put her in a car, dropped her off at our house, and that was a long time ago. And you know, Elkie is she almost has a forever kitten complexion. She's very fluffy, very soft and cotton bally to touch. But she's had an okay relationship with Squeak as well, as you can see by these sort of cat flowers here in this cat bush. So they had a pretty friendly relationship. You can see in this one, this is something from the past like 3 years, 2-3 years, because you can see how thin she is in comparison to the other two.
God damn it, I'm stupid. I just need to know.
Yeah, you can see how they had an okay relationship. Does that mean that Elkie will know? I don't know. We won't know until we know, until we notice her knowing. And then the black one here, this is Mama. She was the youngest before our two newest additions. And we got this. She ended up at our front step pregnant in winter of 2019, January of 2019. She had a litter of kittens in our neighbor's boat, and that was the first litter of kittens we ever fostered, was Mama's. My parents were able to find people on the internet, like from Facebook, to find people who would take her kittens. And that was quite a strange experience, and now we have a much better grasp of how to foster kittens. We have like our own quarantine areas that don't end in a bunch of neonate fluff balls, spraying diarrhea all over a room because we just don't know what the fuck to do. But yes, she was the youngest, and yet the only one that had a litter of kittens. And yes, we named her Mama because it's like, this is the only cat we've ever owned that had a litter of kittens. That successfully had a litter of kittens. So like, we thought that this was like a unique experience for us. Now, we weren't necessarily going to find a bunch more kittens throughout the years, but no, we have fostered like at least 2 other litters, possibly 3 or more. Probably not 4, but quite like a lot. Okay, like we weren't expecting that, but then it happened. But yeah, Mama didn't have a bad relationship with Squeak. There are a few photos of them interacting together, which is good, because Mama is a very, very anxious type of cat. You can see here, this was a period of time where she was a bit anxious to the point where she was kind of having thinner fur. She's not currently in a state this bad, though. In fact, she's getting a bit overweight as of late. So, and I don't think her coat is currently thinning too much. It's probably thinning a little bit from stress because we had 7 animals, and now we have 6, and 6 is still too many, but it's probably going to stay this way because I don't know if I see really any avenue where we're going to end up like trusting somebody so much that we would give them one of the 2 new additions we have. Like our what do you call it? Our standards are high for trust before we would give either of the new ones away at this point, I think. So unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to get my head in the game more to try and figure out how to make the ones we have more comfortable. Because that's sort of the eternal issue that I'm undergoing, that my family is undergoing. We love these creatures. My parents are unbelievably fast. My parents are unbelievably fast to name new outdoor cats. They're so quick to do it. We love these creatures so much. But we are a single-story house with 4 humans still living in it. 7 animals means that each animal receives individually less resources and less space. Actually, I shouldn't say resources because we can just buy more food. But they receive individually less attention, space, and I'd like to say that I would like to not say love. But if you inextricably think of love in sort of a scale of energy, like an energy reserve, that rather than as an abstract feeling of principle, if you think of love in sort of the way it interacts with your own energy levels, each cat technically individually receives less love. From a pure time perspective, from a pure attention perspective, they each individually get less. But we can't just let them suffer. We can't just leave all of them outside where they'll get diseases, where they'll get hurt and attacked. And occasionally, even though they destroy the ecology, they're still a prey animal themselves. Like the house cats die to fucking eagles, large eagles and falcons and foxes and coyotes. Like it's dangerous for them to be out there suffering under scarcity. And so it's the eternal issue of we want to take care of the animals, but we don't have enough room. We don't have enough time and attention. We don't have enough energy. That's why there's like 5 animals that currently live in our backyard. Like 3 of them have been spayed and neutered. But we haven't forcibly brought more of them indoors yet, other than the 2 new additions that took us from 5 to 7. We haven't brought any more in beyond that, even though some of them are very friendly, because we simply don't have the room. And the less room each cat individually has, the more stressed out they will inevitably be. And so it's this logistical issue that is spurred on by circumstance. And the fact that we went down from 7 to 6 doesn't change any of that, really. Because 6 is still too many, but them being outside suffering is unacceptable. Squeak was like a perfect indoor cat. She never really wanted to... I don't really recall her having a strong urge to escape outside. I think it was Catsy, the one that came before her. Elkie has had problems in the past of wanting to escape. She does that less nowadays. She's like, God, like what? Like 7 to 9 years old, something like that. Mama has not cared to go outside since we brought her in. Joey used to be curious about outside, but I think nowadays she's too lazy. She's fat and lazy, so I don't think she really cares about going outside. But we've had problems in the past of cats wanting to go outside, and the fact that I can't. It's literally not possible. It's literally a problem that I have not reconciled, and I may not be able to ever reconcile, because that is the nature of a problem. That being that I don't want them outdoors, but we don't have room indoors. Whatever the case was, Squeak was probably the perfect indoor cat. Her only issue is that she puked. She overeats and pukes. That was the only issue she had, really. Every other trait about her was endearing. She wouldn't shut up. She was always the first cat to make a noise. When she was a kitten, she literally would not shut up even when nobody was listening, even when it was directed at nobody. One of the reasons I had to include a lot of these pictures below the videos, like starting here, are my brothers. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm fine with this going on the record. I'm very jealous and kind of angry. Because I don't have an easy way for the cats to go to my chair and interact with me. So I don't really get a lot of this. I didn't get a lot of this, including from Squeak. I would occasionally pick her up and hold her and hug her. I did that a lot more when I was much, much younger. You know, a kid, a teenager. But I regret the fact that the past decade, I wish I had just... maybe I interacted with her a lot, but, I want more. I want more, and I'm jealous that my brother got to have more than me. Of this, specifically. Of animals being directly adjacent to you. Basically at all times. I'm jealous of this, and I'm low-key so unbelievably fucking angry that I didn't have even more interactions with her like this. Because, like, here's the thing, like, I took all these photos that go above the videos. I took all of these. So it's not like I had no moments. Like, I was deliberately coming over here because I wanted to save moments like this. Even though she wasn't laying adjacent to me because I don't have a tree next to me, I would still get up and do this. Because I loved this. I loved seeing it. It was so cute. So I did deliberately do plenty. Realistically, I interacted with her a lot. But you're right, Aragim, it doesn't feel like enough. And it's not fair. And that's not my brother's fault at all, even vaguely. Like, this is such a stupid goober photo, but this was so rare. Sorry. This is like my rarest moment for her in the album. I guess I didn't really realize that until this moment, because I didn't get a lot of this very often. And usually, when she was older, when I would sit down while she was laying here, she would get disinterested in staying there because she didn't like the angle at which my chair would lean back, and it was a bit of a... It has a rock... It's... When it reclines back, it's a little bit of a rocking chair. So she doesn't like that angle, and so usually when I would sit down and if she was already there, she would just get off. So it was very rare that she would voluntarily get up here while I was still sitting there. So yeah, so I'm quite jealous in hindsight. But at least, you know, I thought to take a picture of it because of how fucking rare and good it was. And, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, a lot of these, not all these In fact, fortunately, I think most of these, more than half of these, I took of my own volition, and not because I was just trying to send pictures to my ex-girlfriend at the time. A lot of my pictures of the cats, not just Squeak, but like I could make an album for basically each of them individually, right? And they would have a similar number of images. You know, most of them I definitely took of my own volition, but quite a few of them I took because I wanted to send cat pictures to my girlfriend at the time. But a lot of these were of my own volition completely. Oh, come the fuck on. There we go.
Okay. If I knew how to close her eyes, I would have done that, so we can show her face, but,
They don't close their eyes. All the cats I buried had their eyes open.
If you're wondering why these cuts exist, like... Come on, load.
they always...
The reason these cuts exist is because I dropped the phone. Well, actually, I think the first time it was because I bumped the button that made it record. Then the other times I dropped the fucking phone. This isn't... I don't think I'm gonna get reported for showing a deceased creature, but
maybe
it's not
okay,
gory.
Maybe this is morbid. But I do want some record of her face. You know, people will forgive me, I hope.
And if anybody is wondering whether you're watching this on YouTube, whether you're watching this literally right now, and you've just decided to be a lurker and not say anything, wait, what the fuck was I about to say? Oh, I didn't film the moments of the height of the pain. Like, I did my literal screaming and crying without recording it. So, and guess what? I have a feeling that my brother did most of his screaming and crying in a place where nobody would notice. Because, you know, we're men, and we don't want to distress people too much that care about us, who are watching things and all that, you know? So I didn't record any of, like, my actual uncontrollable reactions. Like I had more uncontrollable reactions during this stream than in any of this chain of videos. So yeah, don't go thinking that me or him were, like, resigned and reserved. This is simply the moments where we have a hold of ourselves, you know. Excuse me. You know, it's kind of crazy how old these two photos are, Jacob. Oh, whatever. It's kind of crazy how old these photos are, because I can't remember the last time we had this chair. Unless we do have this chair, and this is a time when it had literally nothing in it, and I could actually see it, and the cats could actually interact with it. Like, it's been such a long time. Like, you sure this isn't like a 10-year-old fucking photo? Or something? I don't know. Probably not. So yeah, I don't want to anthropomorphize them too much. So I don't really know if if Buddy and Squeak had like a mother-son relationship, but a lot of our photographs captured the fact that he really liked snuggling. Those are from the okay, wait, you're saying this is from the vet in the past visits, isn't it? This isn't from the vet yesterday. Or is this literally from yesterday? I'm gonna freak. I don't think so, because she looks so full and has no stains on her nose. So I'm sure you mean the vet, like, years ago. And then I don't know the context of all of these ones, other than that, you know, she's an earlier vet visit. Yes, okay. There was a period of time where, Years ago, right. There was a period of time where we were feeding them like only kibble, and apparently unbeknownst to us until we actually took them to vets, unbeknownst to us, apparently that was so unbelievably bad that it was causing Squeak to have seizures. Like she had like a year or two where she had like traumatic seizures. Then we switched the diet massively, and then she never had them again. But god damn it. It creates a lot of inward contempt within me that pet ownership, at the very least for us in particular, has unfortunately been the type of situation where we learn by trying, but every mistake the animal has to suffer for it. How many times did she have a phantom pain in her little paws? Hey bro, I don't know if you remember. It's probably a memory you really don't like, but it was the memory of when and by the way, like bro, if there's any random thing I start going on about that you say I shouldn't talk about, that absolutely tell me, you know, and I'll try to immediately stop. But not long after Squeak matured into like an adolescent cat, we had her declawed. But the person who did it was a piece of. If you're a vet and you declaw cats, stop now, please. Stop it. Do not do it. I hope it's banned everywhere in the entire fucking Western world tomorrow. Yesterday, it should be banned in the entire fucking Western world, unless it's necessary to treat a disease. There's a delay between me posting and you seeing. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll try not to like go on ridiculous tangents, but like we got her declawed and then it got infected. And I won't go into details, but like all of us were in such utter dismay, especially Dad, that like we declawed her, which was already a terrible thing to do, that we did in ignorance. But it got infected and she had to suffer. And I'm glad, and obviously she didn't have that infection on her paws forever. But how many times did she maybe have phantom pain in her little paws, you know? Like, that... We go through trial and error, and they suffer. And I hate that. It's not fair to any of them. Not just ours. Any animal that humans have genetically engineered. It is not fair. You know, and you might, and obviously there's a type of animal lover and a type of pet owner, or a type of activist that in response to me saying this shit would just be like, oh well, we shouldn't have any pets, or we should release them all into wild, or they should never come into contact with humans, or they should never be born. People don't have any fucking conception. She would periodically scratch the posts as if she felt an itch. God damn it. Then again, you could associate that with kneading, but you're probably correct in that it was probably just... It probably was a bit of a vestigial behavior, and there is a chance that maybe that vestigial behavior existed because she was irritated on her little toes. Anybody listening to this? I don't know why you're listening to this. Maybe you probably are not here because you want to hear me soapbox about fucking animals, okay? Oh, come on. Don't take that out of context. About animals. You know, I said fuck as a word as a sentence enhancer, not as as some sort of weird comment. So you're not here to hear me soapbox about animals, but do not fucking declaw your cats. You can build a fucking cat tree for like $10. You can buy one for like $20 or $30. do not fucking declaw the animal. My preview isn't showing me if you can see the picture, so you make sure you tell me if it's not showing up for whatever reason. Don't declaw your animals, okay? Because when something is amputated, there is a non-zero chance that the brain will attempt to reconnect to the nerve endings that exist in the severed limb or the severed body part. The nerves will attempt to reconnect with them, but then it'll notice that they aren't there anymore. And sometimes in bad case scenarios, what happens is that your brain might interpret this as an extreme injury that needs to be reported immediately, and the result is that people or creatures that are amputated can go into terrible, cramping electrical pains in their amputated location, and it can be debilitating. And I have absolute certainty that there are plenty of cats in people's homes right now that are declawed, that have never had a phantom pain in their entire life and never will by the time they die. Why would you take the chance, though, when you can just buy or build a cat tree and they are not that expensive? And if you don't have room in your house for a cat tree, why do you have one or any number of cats? Don't take the chance of giving them chronic pain. Don't declaw cats, okay? I know that's not what you're here for. You're here for the loving memory of a little cotton ball. But if I have anyone's attention for any number of time that doesn't know anything about any of these situations that are taking place in this stream, then there are some things that I just want you to know, that I want to tell you because I have your attention, okay? God, I'm so jealous of this. It's not fair, but it's not like it's anybody's fault. It's just the layout of the way we live in our house. This is what my brother is able to do and I am not. Maybe there's something I could do to make it so that I can also have this, but we'd have to heavily rearrange everything. I refuse to overly anthropomorphize these animals, and I especially should not do it if the only end result is becoming angry and hateful of myself and my family. Because if Squeak had any amount of intelligence, which she didn't, animals do not have intelligence like humans do in anywhere near it, but if she did, she wouldn't want me to make up reasons to be angry at people that are not more responsible than me or more responsible than every other factor that went into any sort of situation happening for any reason regarding her life. If she had phantom pains because of the declawing, well, we didn't know. It was before we could do anything, it was too late, and if we never noticed, it's because she didn't show it to us, because she was happier being the way she was, existing and living in the situation she was in. Yeah, you know what? She held on. The fact that she died of heart failure, perhaps heart failure rather than asphyxiation. It's weird and abstract for us to speculate on her mindset, but based upon behavior and speculation, if she died from the heart failure and not the asphyxiation, there could be an argument that even in the state she was in, She wanted to keep breathing. She didn't want it to stop and end. She wanted it to keep going. So I would think that if she had intelligence, she would tell us that her life was comfortable. Because, if it wasn't, then she would have just, let herself stop breathing sooner, in my opinion. If she was uncomfortable, like animals in captivity have literally permitted themselves to perish. They have literally permitted themselves to commit suicide. They have intentionally let themselves drown. They have let themselves fall asleep. They have let themselves hold their breath. They have stopped eating. They have stopped drinking. She was still eating and drinking. She was not in a situation where she wanted the pain to end. She wanted the happiness to keep going. So whatever it was we were doing for her, she was happy about it. She was happy about it. And she didn't want it to stop. It only stopped because of all these stacking situations just led to her having, being forced to give up. In fact, it's not even fair to call it giving up in any capacity. She didn't give up. She fell in battle, I suppose you could say it that way. And you know what? Everything I just said right there could all be a rationalization, but it's all we have to go on. Because these animals do not have our intelligence. They cannot talk to us even when they are alive. So we can only attempt to make an accurate picture only out of what we see and only out of what they unintelligently communicate to us. That's the only possibility. It's the only way we can know anything. Oh, sorry. If you're watching this at any point, for any reason, I don't care what period of time it is. I don't care if it's now, tomorrow, 10 years, a million years. I want evidence of the animals I have taken care of to have the evidence of their existence propagated. So if you're an alien in a million years and you found this as an archaeological find, I want you to share it with everyone. I want them to see this little cloud. I don't really even... Again, I know there are ads. I couldn't turn the ads off. I'm sorry, but I could not. I literally could not. But I don't want money out of this. I just want everyone to see her. So whatever time period this is, I want everyone to see her. And I don't care if that doesn't mean she goes viral. I just want the evidence to exist. Not because the evidence of her existence isn't real. It is. But it's even more real when it both existed in the past, present, or future, but simultaneously exists as an abstract thing that can be held in the mind of a creature comparable to a human. Because we can hold abstract ideas in our head, such as the past, such as the idea of a life that used to live but no longer does. No other life form can do that, but humans. You know, maybe in 10 years it'll also be elephants and whales, and if that's the case, that's great. I want them to see this animal. Some of these are really perfect. The only problem with this one is how it's a little bit blurry. I probably took this with my old phone. I wonder if I could give this to an AI and it could completely de-blur it while changing nothing else about the consistency of it. I wonder if I could do that. You know, I said this was rare, but I'm realizing that this is the same thing. She was on my chair. She was trying to figure out how to be adjacent to me, even though she didn't like being on the back of my chair. So right here, she jumped up on the arm, and because she was so thin, because I remember this moment now a bit clearly. I was petting her, and because of her age, and possibly because she was sick, like this is many months ago, perhaps a year or more ago, I felt she got up here because she wanted to interact with me, and I was petting her, and I noticed that her fur felt dusty, and I figured that was because of her age, and maybe it was. However, technically maybe it could have been because she was also sick, but I noticed that her fur was dusty, and so I took a photo of her right here to give to send to my friend and give a contrast, and to tell her about the contrast between the fur consistency of different age categories of cats. How tiny kittens have have unbelievably soft, unblemishable, fuzzy fur. Kittens have soft, cottony fur. Then the teens and adults, the adolescents and the adults, that's when you start to feel the silkiness and the slight oiliness of the silkiness on their coat. And then I sent her this image as a part of an explanation of, apparently when cats get old enough, their coat goes back to being extremely soft, but it's also quite dusty for some reason. Maybe because their skin is drier and they have less dander that they shed, and so there's less oil they excrete, and so the result is that their fur feels very soft, but it also felt dusty. So this is probably the most recent photo I took of her, other than the videos of her body. I shouldn't, sometimes I get annoyed. This is irrational. Sometimes I get annoyed when there's when people make distinctions between like body and person, because again, I don't know if there's a real God, but there's a non-zero chance that all that a person is in their body. That all that you are is just the electrical pattern that is in your brain. There's a good chance of that. So separating personhood from the body, it's another, like I said in the longer video, it feels like copium, and sometimes it sort of feels like an insult. But then again, as I said before I went on the tangent, that's completely irrational of me for me to partially think. I don't legitimately think that at all times, because I try to be a critical thinker. I try to use my critical thinking. Yeah, man, I do wonder why I wasn't sure where that chair came from. Wow. Man, you were so fucking lucky. I'm so jealous of this. Maybe I'll think of a way to have this. Joey has figured it out, because she realized she can just plop her gorbulent mass on the back of my chair in the same fashion that she did right here, that Squeak did right here. Like, Joey usually, this is usually where Joey will lay, like, daily. So she's cracked it. So I'm glad that I get to interact with Joey every day. But fuck! Am I jealous of this? God damn it. Then again, bro, maybe you feel the same way about Joey. Maybe you feel like she doesn't interact with you often enough, and maybe that's upsetting. But luckily, over our dead bodies, we're not gonna let our two now oldest cast, we're not gonna let them fucking waste away from an unknown illness that makes them thin and bony. We're not gonna do that. If they're older, if they're between like the ages of like 13 and 20, and we see them getting extra skinny, we're gonna fucking do something about it immediately. Not be like, oh, that's just what happens when they're old. No, we're not gonna let that fucking happen if we can help it. Obviously, random horse shit can happen. Like something could fall, like something could collapse, like the floor could collapse, and like a half ton of debris could randomly like fall on an animal or something. Like freak accidents could happen, but for all things we have any control of, we're gonna try and make sure they live longer, even longer than Squeak did. I feel so bad the more I think about like my childhood and pets. I hope one day I can be a father. I hope you can too, bro. And also anybody else wholesome who's listening to this right now, I hope that you will one day reproduce. But I'm gonna fucking, but if I ever have offspring, or if you do, and I'm forced to be the single uncle or whatever the fuck, I don't know. It needs to be so unbelievably impressed upon children the weight of life. Because Kid Me did frolic in the backyard with Catsy. Kid Me did, interact with Catsy and with Squeak a lot. But as an adult, knowing all of the things that I know now, my childhood could have been so much more involved with these creatures, and they could have lived longer and even happier. But I was a child and I was ignorant. But I'm an adult now, and we're not gonna let any of the remaining cats suffer horribly. Period. Not that Squeak was suffering horribly, because like I said earlier, she wanted to keep living. She didn't want it to end. She wanted to keep living, so we were doing something right. So she wasn't necessarily suffering, but we still could have done more, and we're gonna do more for the ones that are still here. Not gonna let them have seizures. Not gonna let them become thin and bony. Not gonna be confused when they start having struggles breathing. Not gonna just let them outside and bring and get diseased and stuff if possible. No, we're not gonna make those. We're not gonna make those mistakes. And I know that it's doomed to trial and error in so many ways. So the mission is to make sure that the next trial is closer to the goal. And I think the goal of all life is to inevitably reach a point where all conflict becomes completely and utterly insignificantly inefficient by comparison to diplomacy. So any effort made to make sure that little animals don't have to fight for their lives any effort that moves towards that and succeeds is one of the purposes of all living things. No matter what, no matter who, no matter what, particularly humans, no matter what religion or belief system you hold, any effort to make things better for them is the purpose of all living things, especially human beings. Because we know these things, and we know better, and they don't. Maybe one of the solutions is that one day they will also know better, and we'll put them in the position where they will be able to know better themselves. And maybe that will help them. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe maybe it would be like the cavia in Warframe. It would be a nightmare. It would be horrific for them. Maybe they're happier not ever knowing what they don't know. Maybe that is the way it should be for them for the entire duration of human existence, for the entire duration of intelligent life having any rule over the earth. Maybe it's better that forevermore they don't know what they don't know, because that is what will make them happy. Maybe that's the case. Or maybe one day we will make them able to know, and that will be better for them. Maybe that's the case as well. Whatever. Whatever the case is, so long as we move towards that point, that they are not suffering as much as they used to, so that if the end comes for them when they're 20, 25, 30, they'll still want to fight to stay alive because of how happy and how great their existence and their life has been. As long as it's something they want, then we know that we're doing something right for them. One of my regrettable habits that I'm going to end has nothing to do with the stream. Well, it has to do with the subject matter, not the stream. Not stream habits. My streaming habits will be the same, if not better or something. But one habit I've had is of never letting the animals come into my room because I don't want them to knock over my Legos. I'm gonna stop. Well, actually, it would not just that. It's because I also have this paranoia that their dander getting on my bed is gonna like make my face break out. But thinking about how fucking trite and insignificant of a problem that is, in comparison to letting them have more room to hide in and sleep in, I'm gonna leave my bedroom door open from now on. I'm never gonna close it, and I'm not gonna ever stop them from coming in here. And if they get disgusting puke, snot, drool, whatever on my bed, I'll just wash the sheets. Because they deserve to have as much room as possible in this house. There should have been a habitual possibility inside all of their heads that it's okay for them to sleep in my room or to come into my room. I'm not going to keep them out anymore. Luckily, Joey right now, she's waiting for me to let her out. So, at least she came in here. She had the amount of time she wanted. And she'll be gone. And she'll be gone. She'll leave the room once I'm done streaming. Clear fingernail polish will help Legos stay together. I should just put them away. I should just try to find a room in my room. It's what I should do. Once I've made the memorial video for Squeak, to my satisfaction, I'm going to immediately go and see if I can purchase a new gaming laptop so that I have something up to date that can stream better, so that I can have just a better technological resource for streaming. And you know, I think one thing I'm going to start doing is, I think one thing I want to do is start listing how much donation money we might need to pay for individual months of feeding our cats. So I think I might revamp the stream ever so slightly so that if people want to donate specifically because they want the cats to get their food bill paid for, then I think I'm going to start listing that so that people have an idea of where giving money to me goes. And you know, a lot of this doesn't matter because I have 100 followers, but I don't get that many views. But I operate on the internet as though everything I say and do and post on the internet will exist forever. So technically I'm talking to an infinite number of people right now. So I don't care if this goes viral or not. I would love it if it did. You know, I would love if I could live a life where I know that millions of people know about this cat. But even if I don't live to see millions of people know who this cat is, it's fine because I'm still talking to digital archaeologists however long into the future, and they'll be hearing me talking and hearing me address them. So even if I don't go viral, even if this stream is only seen by like sub 12 people, that's okay. And even if the memorial video gets very few views, that's okay. It just wasn't lucky, because there's a lot of cats on the internet, and there's a lot of pets on the internet, and there's a lot of dead pets every day. I don't know where I heard this statistic, but I believe that for every human being on Earth, there's like 10 dogs and 10 cats. And I also heard at some point that every second that passes, a human being dies somewhere in the world. So the ratio of animal deaths happening, pet deaths happening, she's just one out of an incomprehensible number. But I say they all should have their existence known of. And some of them will get lucky and millions will see, and some will be seen by only a dozen. But again, any number of them, any amount that they get known of that goes outside of my head and my skull, that's any amount is a victory. I know that some men are in these situations, and their goal is to intentionally lock away a memory so that they can forget it without truly forgetting it. But my methodology is I want as much evidence of their existence to be real, just as their life was real. Because you're never gonna know. God, I literally set the ads so that they would only go like only every 22 minutes, and I tried to make them short. So I apologize for ad breaks. I literally cannot disable them immediately, even if I sent a message to Twitch to drop my affiliate status immediately, like today. Even if I did that, I would have to send an email and hope that they reply to it out of an ocean of emails, and even if I did that, technically I could still... There are tools I could have potentially found if I had more time in order to remove the ads. But I didn't have the time to figure it out. I didn't have the time to cancel affiliate, and I didn't have time to learn like whatever plethora of tools would be necessary to just somehow turn the ads off. So I apologize to anybody who had to sit through ads while I'm fucking crying and sniffling on fucking on audio. So I apologize. And you know what? Maybe I'll permit myself to lose my Twitch affiliate status by after I get a better gaming laptop and I start setting everything up on it so that I can start streaming from it. I'm gonna start fucking multi-streaming, and if Twitch wants to remove my affiliate status, fine. I want to be on YouTube and I want to also be on Kick simultaneously as I am on with Twitch, all at once. Because if I do that, there is a non-zero chance I can get even more people, and if I have an even bigger audience, at some point I can randomly say... Actually, it wouldn't be random. It would be every June the 2nd every year. I will tell people about this animal. I want them all to know about her. If I was in a moment of emotional distress and I, for some reason, was granted a wish and I couldn't write it out and be logical about it, I'd wish for her to be back and alive again. But if I was restricted from bringing the dead back, I would wish that every single human on Earth just knows about her, and that's it. Because let's be real, I could ask for world peace, but how many weeks would that last? I could ask for everybody in the world to be fed, but how long would that last? But if I just forced everybody to know about her and remember her, well, that lasts for as long as the human race does. You know? Because even though empiricism is real, things are real, her life was real, there doesn't technically need to be any validation that her life happened, because it did happen. Okay? When a tree falls in a forest, it does make a sound, okay? Maybe that's a hot take. Maybe that's a hot take. But it does. So, this stream didn't actually need to happen. But as far as I am concerned, there is no reason for me to believe that there is such a thing as too much knowing about something like this. There is no reason there cannot be as much evidence of a living creature living as possible. There's no reason to think that that evidence should not exist in an infinite quantity. This isn't the end, by the way, of me being on this subject. Like I said, I'm going to make a memorial video for her. And I've decided right now that every June 2nd, I am going to do another one. And I don't know if I'll be streaming in 10 years from now, but if Joey or Buddy is next, I'll do the same thing, and I'll maintain all of it. I'll maintain it forever. If I'm made to live forever, I will literally maintain it forever. Is it necessary for her to have been empirically real? No, it's not. It's not necessary. She was empirically real. Nothing can take that. Literally, there's not a single fucking thing that can be conceived of that can take this animal from me in its entirety. Nothing. Nothing can do that because she was real, period. But I want everyone to feel the same way. Not sad, not crying, but I want them all to know. And I want them all to I want them all to want that this memory is not taken from them. Because by doing that, there's literally no conflict with ideology, religion, or politics, or whatever. Nope, nothing like that. It is all a matter of what is plainly in your vision and what you have absorbed into your memory. Because just as physical objects are real, every abstraction that our brains can create is also real. It's real in our head, in the abstract sense. Okay? Like, math is real. It's not physically real, but math itself is real because we thought of it, because we have brains that can do something that animals cannot. And so with those brains, I want everyone to know. I want everyone to know. I'm not sure. You know, it's funny because I don't know which one of these is the best one. Because there's a lot of really good ones. There's a lot of really good ones. Really good ones. You want to know something ironic is that last night I also cried a lot. But it was actually happy. Because I realized that I have absolute control over what her memorial video is going to be like. Because nothing has control over me over how I show her to people. Nothing can take that away from me because that is my will. And so I actually cried happy because I just sort of had that realization that it's not like I'm waiting for some video to become generated. No, no, it's mine, and it will be everybody's, but nobody else gets to do to make it but me. So this one is so good. It's so blurry. I will post a lot of these photos, maybe 5 at a time, to my Twitter. Every day it'll be like 5 at a time, and I'll do that until they're all gone, until they're all on Twitter. In case you want to propagate these images directly, or just want to download your own copy to keep for yourself for whatever reason, and I would encourage. And this is such a strange thing for me to say, and many will construe it as selfish or manipulative. I don't care. Show Squeak to everyone you know. Please. That is my selfish request. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to follow. This is not... Cats are not the literal center point of my streaming channel. This is not content that I'm doing every week. So if you don't want to be following me specifically, you don't have to. But please, if any of this gets to you, if any of this is something you retain, at whatever time period you're hearing this, watching this, whatever, please show her to everyone. You know, I don't want to go viral. I want her to go viral, and even if neither of us go viral, I still want as many people as possible to know about her. Okay? That is my request for you, for everybody who is witnessing this, whether it's live, a VOD, a video, etc. And I've noticed this whole time that this was basically only my friends, a few people who are seeing this, and that's fine. Because, like I said, technically it's an infinite number, but I'm aware of it. So the algorithm has not randomly put us in a place where we're gonna get hundreds of people coming in to pay respects, you know, live. So I am fully prepared for the algorithm on the internet, the algorithms on social media and the internet, to not make this viral just magically, or just, you know, like, there's luck to that. And like I said, there's so many dead pets. It's unbelievable. The way I feel is definitely not unique. People feel this about their pets literally every day. Every day, a pet is lost to a family. But I don't think it's a competition. They should all be known. Joey really, really, really wants to leave my room. It's kind of funny, I said her name. I wasn't saying it to her, but I said her name and she just turned her head immediately, so... They're very stupid creatures. They are retarded creatures. All of them. Squeak was also retarded. They're all retarded. All animals are retarded in comparison to human beings, but that's what just makes the idea of a personality with no intelligence so interesting to nurture. From beginning to end. Because it's something that only humans can do for other creatures. I don't know, I've met some really dumb people. I know even people with sub 60 IQ, I'm sorry, but they're still smarter than every animal we know of. Because they still can comprehend language, therefore they can still create constructs, abstractions within their brains. Even if they're too stupid to understand those abstractions, they still can theoretically create them. But yeah, I'm thoroughly aware that this stream is not reaching a lot of people at this particular moment because of the algorithms, and I also recognize that I am not special for mourning a pet, because people do this every day. But I don't care, even if it's a dozen people that have no relation to any of us here in our friend group, even if it's a dozen people who know about it and remember Squeak forever, that's enough. But I want it to be as many as possible, as whatever luck and influence will result in it. I want as many people as possible to know that she existed. And that I hope that everybody who learns about her will forgive us for not showing her to them when she was alive, and that they will forgive us for making mistakes and not realizing that we could have helped her sooner because of our ignorance. But it's not about us, it's about making her known. So even if we show her and then people hate us, I don't care, because they know of her. You know, hate me, hate the weird socio-political, philosophical shit I've been saying, you know, hate my wording, hate my vulgarity, hate me, I don't care, I just want you to know. I don't care, I want you to know that she was real. It would be unfair of me. She was the best, yes. It would be unfair of me to keep my father awake for several hours because I can't stop repeating myself while failing to prevent myself from weeping. That's not fair to him. He does not deserve to listen to his younger son, just cry and repeat himself about the same things. Because he's a very emotional man. He is also very stoic. He's the emotional stoic type. So, you know, the one that, you know, is chill and then suddenly they have unexpected bursts of passion and energy, you know. It wouldn't be fair to keep him up talking about the little girl he just lost. Especially when I have all the time and control that I want to talk about her whenever I want and to do whatever I want with the video. So, it's time for the stream to end. This is not the end of me talking about Squeak. If anything, I will not fucking stop mentioning her. If anything. Because I want this pain. And I want other people to at least know that she was real. Not necessarily have the same pain, but know that she was real. So yeah, we need to, we're not saying goodbye to her. Not in the sense of, we're just gonna move on and never think about her ever again. No, we're not saying goodbye to her. There is no goodbye, because no matter what entropy does, she was real. The past was real. Everything that existed in the past was real. So, it's time. It's time. You will see her again. You will see her again. I promise you that.